Wait, so I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna ask you, what's your all-time favorite Netflix show or movie or documentary?
Netflix, as in Netflix.
Crazy, all this talent coming or content coming out of India now.
Yeah, it's crazy. One of the things I'm going to talk about is like there's a whole like India-Israel tab on like the Jerusalem Post for like connections.
Oh, that's sick.
That's I remember the first time I heard about it too, and I was like, what? Like, how does that make sense? And then I went, and I was like, okay. No, I went to. It actually ended up being an Israeli restaurant in an island in the Philippines. It's a tiny island. Surprised that there was one there. And all the workers, like the owner was Israeli, and all the workers were Filipino, and they all spoke like basic Hebrew that they learned from him because so many Israelis would go. They would say, "Shalom, Anishma, אתה רוצה לראות את התפריט, אנגלית, עברית." You want to start?
Yes. So some interesting things about the titles we have this week. So Where Do You Live Season 2 is coming out.
Yeah.
I found out that the two lead actors in the show, Ronan and Hai, their actual grandma is the woman who plays
I did
the
see
grandma.
that, yeah.
So like we could probably do something about that to like help advertise Season 2.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing the Bukhara Jews, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm about this week. Interesting facts about it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean, we have enough viewers for that where we could maybe even do like an Instagram post, just like fun fact about
yeah.
this. 'Cause people like really
People really like are
Yeah. I think we've invested enough into
yeah.
like long form content, but I think we can do something for Instagram.
Yeah, and we have a lot of female directors coming on, Izzy this week specifically, but also just generally we have quite a few female directors, and so it might be cool to do like a bio of all like the female directors we have on
So I
the
think
platform.
in February or March we're doing something with women in general.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Is it
I think March is Women's Month.
So it was March, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No, so let's do something now with specifically a focus on, you know.
Directors on Izzy.
So there's the girl that did Asia.
yeah,
She was a woman, the
yeah,
director.
Ruthie,
Hilla.
Hila.
Who else? We'll just send her a list.
Yeah, I'll send her a list. So we have like 2 new female directors coming on this month.
The woman, the girl that did Lost and Found, which is the Cheryl Hollis.
Yeah, Shira
That's a
Hoffman.
woman.
Yeah, we have quite a few, so I'll send you a list of who they are. Great, and then this is just more, I guess, of like a general like Israel entertainment fact is that the Israeli court banned this like a 2002 documentary, and it's a bit of a drama right now.
That's fun. I actually saw this in the customer service, like on Facebook
Yeah.
this morning. I thought someone was just being rude. They're like, Israeli documentaries are like banning, and I was like, what?
Yeah, it's
And I didn't realize it was actually a thing.
dramatic. Yeah, the documentary is called like Janine, and so the director has been ordered to pay $55,000 to the people who appeared in the film because they were saying like the film suggested that there was like I don't know exactly what, but some sort of malpractice on the behalf of Israeli soldiers, and it was like an allegation that was not proven to be true. So it's like a whole
Interesting.
thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds like something we might want to stay away from.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really something to maybe stay away from, but it is just
Yeah,
an
it's
interesting
good to know.
thing that like documentaries are so like
Yeah.
divisive.
I think that there's an opportunity to explore and I want to preface this by saying I'm not a programming guy. I'm not a TV guy.
You said that at the beginning.
Yeah.
You have an outside company.
Yeah, I'm a marketing guy. Yeah. And so I don't want to get into the intricacies of how we would adapt your book because it's just not my field, and I just want to stick to what I know and not promise something that maybe isn't possible or whatever. But what I can say, generally speaking, that doing a X-part, 3-part, 4-part, 6-part sort of docu-reality series where we go out with you on the trail. Maybe we go with a guide, maybe we go just with you, maybe it's about the book, maybe it's some of it comes from the book, some of it comes from other things that are not in the book that have maybe happened in your life, or just general things about the trail. I think that's certainly interesting to a lot of people abroad, and I also think that potentially we could bring in a local co-production partner, because I think it could also be interesting locally here. Because I think that obviously the National Trail being such a predominant part of the landscape and kind of Israeli culture in a way, literally and figuratively. And I thought that here's a guy, you of course, who comes to Israel, if I remember correctly, dealing with your divorce, and you decide to hike the Israel National Trail, and you have...
You got it all right. I didn't come to Israel. I lived in Israel for 35 years, but yes, go on.
And I think that's interesting for, a lot of people in Israel hike the Israel National Trail, as you know. I don't know that the local audience has ever heard your story.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can tell you authoritatively, most Hebrew-speaking Israelis have not heard my story because it hasn't been. I did one interview.
No. Let me rephrase that. I don't mean your story. I mean a story like yours, because I think it's a damn good story. And I don't say that to say it. I mean, it is what it is. You know that. You wrote a book about it after all. So. And I think it would do phenomenal with our audience, and I also think, like I said, it could do well here. And unfortunately, I can't be the judge of that. Khan has to be the judge of that, and that is what it is.
So they did this 3-part series with me, and I know, both from Russell Robinson, the head of the JNF, and also from a number of independent sources, it was one of their most popular online videos for this Corona period in the last year. And the reason for that is it was outdoors, and it led them to create a whole new series they're doing now, which is, you can't travel to Israel, so now we'll log on, you pay $35 for a 7-week series, and you get an hour's tour once a week, blah, blah, blah. So it kickstarted that for them, because it was my, I'm not tooting my horn, I'm explaining the evolution of their understanding of how powerful an outdoor presentation and discussion, which isn't like this, sitting in front of the camera in a room with everybody ad nauseum. But so that's a positive aspect.
So I'm also extremely tired because I woke up. I'm trying this new thing called the 5 a.m. Club. Do you know what that is?
5?
Yeah.
Me too. I wake up at 6-ish.
And what do you do in the morning?
Usually run,
Really?
work out.
Where, on the Tel?
On the tail, on the park. On Saturday, it was like Yom Kippur, so I did an urban run.
Nice. Like in the streets and stuff?
Yeah,
Nice.
there was no cars.
Yeah.
It felt like Yom Kippur.
What time do you go to bed?
It depends. But if I wake up at 5, I'm tired at night.
Okay.
So I never go to sleep after midnight. Usually,
That's after that's only 5 hours though. Even if you go to bed at 11, that's only 6 hours.
10, 11.
I'm telling you, women are like operating at a different, like you guys are like superheroes.
I mean, I crash every
Can?
few days. I crash.
Must have meant just.
I either go to sleep super early or one day I sleep in.
Mutar.
But not 5:00. 600.
No, that's still good.
But it's a big difference.
Do you know that book, The 5 A.M. Club? It's all. They also. It was so successful. They also put it in Hebrew.
I read it in English.
Yeah. No, I mean it's an American author, but I mean it's been translated in I don't know probably most languages around the world.
But I love morning.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I don't. But I'm like.
But it's because you're too young and not.
How old do you think I am?
I don't know. But it's not about your.
I don't think we're that big in difference in age.
Okay.
How old do you think I am?
And you're 30.
Yeah, I'm 32. Hey everyone, this is Josh Hoffman, the founder of IZZY. I'm here with Hilla Medalia, one of the great Israeli filmmakers, and super excited for this because you were one of the first people that I met in this journey of building IZZY. You gave me some great advice. You said it's good that you're naive because somebody that comes from the industry, the entertainment industry, the TV industry, probably is, you know, saying, no, but if I do that, then, you know, and I didn't know anything. So I didn't know the rules, I didn't know if I was breaking the rules, if I was following the rules. And that meeting was last July, I want to say.
I don't know, with COVID I lost track of
time. It's been hard, but with that said, a lot has changed on your side, on our side. We have a few of your films on IZZY, To Die in Jerusalem and Trans Kids. And we almost had the Oslo Diaries, but then you sold it to HBO.
Resold it to HBO Max.
To HBO Max, congratulations, Mazal Tov. But let's go back to the very, very, very beginning. How does Hilla Medalia get into filmmaking?
So actually, I mean, I always loved film, but I didn't, you know, some filmmakers that I meet, it's like they always had a dream to be a filmmaker. I did not. But when I finished the army, a lot of my friends went on this 1-year trip around the world to South America or to Australia, and I was an athlete, so I did not want to stop my training. So instead of that, I went to the US on athletic scholarship, and I went to college, and I thought, okay, it's my fun year, so let's do something I love, and I basically registered to study film. So that's how I got into film, and then I went and I did my undergrad and my master's, and I had a relatively quick start because my graduate student film for my master's basically was To Die in Jerusalem. So it was bought by HBO and was nominated for 3 Emmy Awards and won a Peabody. So here I was, quite young at the time, in New York, doing my own movies already. So that's
amazing.
How it started.
Not too shabby. Most filmmakers, you go from 1 to 2 to 3, and then maybe you hit a home run. You basically went from, let's say, 1 to 10. So how do you, when you're moving into your next film, your next project, how do you take it to the next level when you already started from such a high barometer?
So first of all, I have to say that I've met many filmmakers that had a very good first film. In fact, I know some filmmakers who their absolutely best work is their very first film, and they actually never managed to make a film that was as good as the first one.
Why do you think that is?
I think that sometimes there is something about being very pure at the beginning, and without any limitations, and without fear, that you're able to do things that sometimes later it's harder to do. But I also think there's something pure sometimes about first film. But regardless of the success of the first film, I feel that one of the hardest things for filmmakers is making your second film. And it was hard, and luckily I started my second film literally the day I finished the online and the mix, the finishing of To Die in Jerusalem. I went to New Orleans to film my second film after the storm.
You've done some really, this is an understatement, but amazing projects, touching a lot of different people, a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different subjects. Take us through the Hilla Medalia psyche, the mindset, when does something come across your table and then you put it through like a psychological process that you have, or how do you find projects, how do projects come to you, how do you say yes, how do you say no, what's that whole process for you?
So first of all, every film, it's a complete different story. Both films that I direct and also I have a production company, Medalia Productions, and we produce sometimes other people's film. So first of all, because filmmaking, it's such a difficult job, and remember we spoke about the endurance. So the first thing is that I need to be really interested in the topic, in the story, in the people who are making it, you know, in the people that we are filming, or the filmmakers, you know. So that's first thing. So I really need to want to make the film about that topic. That's the first thing. And second of all, I think that the way we work is that we're very interested in the international audience. So often when we look at projects, we will choose them based on what we think. So first of all, again, it's whether we are interested in the topic, we think it's important, we think it's something we really want to do. And then second of all, we are, I mean, me personally and my company, we are interested in film for the global audience. So we also think, you know, if it could work. Now, often in Israel, people come to me and say, oh, I have an international film for you, you know, about my cat. You know, people love cats all over the world. And I say, you know, I mean, if there are cats all over the world, then American audience would be interested in the cats in America. Why would they want a cat in Tel Aviv? Right. So, I mean, it has to, and by the way, you know, a lot of people say, criticize Israeli filmmakers and filmmaking industry, that a lot of our films are always, you know, political, about the conflicts and very left-wing. It's actually not the case. Most films and most projects that are being made in Israel are not about the conflict. The only reason why a lot of the films about the conflict are making it to the international arena is because, unfortunately, our conflict is a topic that of interest internationally.
When I started to think about IZZY, first of all, I was naive, as I think I said, so I didn't really know. You know,
you will always remember that I said it too.
And
of course, I don't remember.
But in the first few months, I realized, you know, just putting out more content that, you know, fulfills the stigmas that are already out there. So great productions, and I want to be clear when I say phenomenal productions, phenomenal filmmaking, phenomenal acting, everything. But we also have to understand that those productions have an influence on how people perceive Israel, or Judaism, or different aspects of Israeli culture and Israeli people and Israeli history. And my feeling is that if we could get to a point where we're producing films and series and documentaries, actually not even for the Israeli local audience, which is a small audience, but for the international audience, because there's a lot of things that are interesting to them. Of course, the conflict might be interesting for obvious reasons, but so is food and fashion and music and you know, inner city or cross-cultural topics. I know you've done a lot of that kind of stuff, or marginalized communities like with trans kids. Anyway, so I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you, what's your all-time favorite Netflix show or movie or documentary?
Netflix? As in Netflix? I don't know. I mean, there are many. I mean, I don't have a one favorite. You know, I think that there, you know, well, I can say that the best Netflix original Israeli documentary series is The Devil Next Door. Right. It's also the only one. Correct. Netflix original, and it's good, about John the Maniac by Daniel Sivan. You know, there are many, and there are many amazing films on Netflix, and my kids watching only Netflix and Amazon, because the English. But
interesting.
You know, there are many, and it depends. This week I watched a film on Amazon that I love, so I'm all about that. But you know, next week I'll watch another film that I love.
So I want to let you go, be respectful of your time, but I want to ask you if you can just give us a peek behind the curtain of what you're working on, or what people can expect from you. You've done a lot of great work, but I imagine you're also working on some pretty exciting stuff. Can you give us a little teaser?
I'm always working on several projects at the same time, and partially because each film takes, you know, 4 or 5, between 2 to 7 years, depends. So I have a film about Hebron, and I'm doing another film with the guy Davidi, the director of Five Broken Cameras, and with Julie Schlez, who is an amazing Israeli director, about Chanit Kikos, this girl. I mean, it's not about her, it's actually about the guy who was charged for killing her and spent almost 30 years in prison. Wow. But he didn't do it. So about that. Those are the three that will come out, relatively soon in the next year, I would say. And then I have a sad story that I'm doing, and a film about Ronnie Calderon, who is a famous soccer player, who from kind of like being the world, he was on the trajectory to be, the next Maradona or Ronaldo or one of those, Israeli guy, turned into a big drug baron, escaping 3 prisons, and rumors that he lives in Brooklyn, New York, but we'll see. So anyway, a lot of things in the making, but I'm super excited, and always my favorite is the one I'm working on at the time. So it's a lot of things, and very super excited.
Amazing. She's Hilla Medalia, medaliaproductions.com. If you want to check more of her work out, contact her, be in touch with her. I'm Josh Hoffman. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.